It's like I was made for this.
We are now on air. Time for a total takeover.
It's finally here. Welcome to a new episode.
It's about to go down. If I said it, I meant it. Bite my tongue for no one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's yours truly, Dan Adams, aka the Soulful Conservative, the DA and the prosecutor, coming to you live with another edition of the Dan Adams Show. It is February 7th, 2022. Let's go ahead and get right into it because I got a few things I want to get off of my chest. But the first thing I want to show is this ad. You've probably seen it, and I'm not even going to intro it. I'm just going to let it play because it's that good.
Some major flip-flop. People should not be walking around with masks. Masks work. Fully vaccinated, you are protected, and you do not need to wear a mask. If you are vaccinated, you should still wear a mask.
You really better be very careful before you bring the children back.
The default position should be to try as best as possible to keep the children in school.
Right now, at this moment, there is no need to change anything that you're doing on a day-by-day basis. I would like to see a dramatic diminution of the personal interaction that we see. So let me clarify that because there was a little bit of a misunderstanding.
That is just too good. Whoever came up with the storyboard and then the actual implementation of that ad, phew, thumbs up, kudos, excellent work. Now, I want to talk about right out of the top of the show is Susan Sarandon. I know, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen and heard what she said in regards to the fallen NYPD officers and the just outpouring of love at the funerals for both of those officers. You heard what she said. And number one, it was probably one of the most idiotic things you could ever say, but it was also infuriating because she would even take the time to diminish, to somehow relegate these NYPD officers' memories as something that can be put down, besmirched, smeared, and just downright disrespectful. But she came out and apologized. And I'm not even going to read the apology because she only apologized because the heat came down on her. What she said originally and what she tweeted was her true thoughts, her true feelings, and her true intentions. So as I've said before and I've said in the past, if you're going to be this leftist activist that she so proudly puts forth, if she's going to be this individual that's going to push back against the police, defunding the police, eradicating police and ICE and every other law enforcement agency that you can think of. Well, I shouldn't say not all, because she's definitely probably on board with the FBI and what they did to President Donald Trump and what they're doing now in regards to parents who have the audacity to go to a school board meeting and combat the woke, to combat CRT, to combat, these school boards and these superintendents who think they can just run roughshod in our schools and do whatever the hell they want and think that we're not going to have any say in the matter. These people are completely and utterly insane to even have that thought in their brain. These people are so entrenched in their leftist ideology that they could care less about you, what you and I, those of us who are conservatives, those of us who are on the right. And they always keep saying, well, your kids in the 6 to 8 hours that we have them a day, they are ours. They're like they're the putty and they are the hands. They are the clay and they are the molders. They are basically the vessel for 6 to 8 hours a day, implanting in them and indoctrinating in them this leftist ideology that most, even those who vote Democrat, can't really get down with and agree with. There are some, obviously, but if there are some common sense Democrats out there, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but they are. I know some. And for them to think that we're just going to sit back and allow this stuff to happen, they're completely and utterly idiots. We're never going to put our heads into the sand and act like none of this stuff is happening. So for those individuals who think that way, you must be stuck on stupid. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play this clip here, and I'm just going to let it play, and then we're going to discuss what you just saw.
Actually, it really did offend me. It was a spit in the face, because this says to me that I'm not black enough to be in the Black Caucus, and that's an insult. Defining what black is by these liberal criteria is frankly wrong and disgusting. I'm the first person of color to represent the 91st District of Virginia's House of Delegates, and more specifically, to represent Poquoson in any capacity below Lieutenant Governor. I'm a regular guy. I'm a cybersecurity analyst, Newport News Shipbuilding. I'm a veteran. I actually got into politics right after high school when I helped our nation's first black president get elected, when I didn't really know the party structure, what one party stood for and the other. Over time, I found out I'm more aligned with the Republican Party. I wanted to become a member of the Black Caucus because I wanted to be a voice. I wanted to be a conservative voice in a group that normally is very liberal. And I wanted to represent all African American. I wanted a seat at the table so we can really represent the spectrum of being an African American. I went to a HBCU, and I was probably the only openly conservative person on the campus. A lot of people don't understand what it is to be conservative or understand conservative values. And when someone who looks like them comes and speaks to those values, they listen. And that's what I wanted to bring to the Black Caucus. I wanted them to see what the other side is talking about, so they can understand and maybe change some hearts and minds. I contacted the chair and I said, hey, did I get in? Was I allowed in? And at first I was told that they'd rather meet in person, and I pressed it and said, no, I need to know, was I let in or not? I shouldn't have to wait that long. And I was informed that I was not let in. I did speak to the person, the chair afterward, and he just expressed, you don't agree with our agenda. We agree on everything, but I thought they'd let me in so they want to hear my voice, because several members have expressed how they want black voices sitting at the table. But apparently my black voice wasn't one they wanted at the table. So my cities that I represent are very diverse. So I represent one city that's rural, mostly white, and I represent another city that is a majority minority city. And they live right next to each other. They coincide hand in hand. And I can't see why there's such an issue. We don't feel that issue where I am. We don't have that issue there. we can work together and without problems. And this is something that needs to happen here. Maybe I may make my own caucus. Like I said, it might be a caucus of one, but it will be a caucus when new members come that's going to welcome all African Americans, regardless of their views, because we want the African American voices to be heard, not just one singular voice rejecting all other Black voices. We want a full picture of what it is to be an African American. Whether we agree or disagree, we need to come together and say, this is who we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, so much to break down in that clip. And the gentleman's name, he's from Virginia, and he is State Delegate A.C. Cardoza. And as you saw, he said that the rejection from the Black Caucus was a spit in the face. Now, let me start with this. I know he was going back between Black and African American. As me, I am a Christian first, who happens to be an American of Black descent. Now, I may have African ancestors and ancestry, but I am a Christian first, American second, and happen to be of Black descent third. So when I refer to myself, I will never refer to myself as an African American. I will refer to myself as a Black American. No problem, no issues. That is who I see myself as. Now, to expound on the rejection, as he says, and the spit in the face, as he says, that the Virginia Black Caucus gave him, I'm sorry. I know it's 2022, but Virginia, even though the governorship, lieutenant governorship, and the state attorney general all switched from blue to red, there is still a proliferation of leftist ideology flowing throughout the state of Virginia. So when you have a predominantly minority proliferation throughout Virginia, and I'm meaning Black, and that proliferation, 99.9% of them vote Democrat, obviously this state delegate was going to be pushed back against in regards to trying to join the Black Caucus in Virginia. Now, I don't know the ins and outs and the particulars of what you have to do in order to, put yourself out there and to submit yourself and to try to become a member of the Black Caucus in Virginia. I only can go by how it is at the House of Representatives in D.C. And if you are a Republican or a conservative and happen to be Black, you can forget being a member of that. And if you are a member of that Black Caucus in D.C., then you really don't have a voice at all. The majority in that Black Caucus are Democrats, and you will be drowned out. Any issue that you bring to the table will be completely shoved under the rug, and you will have no say. Now, I don't know how it's going to be, even though the Black Caucus in Virginia rejected Delegate Cardoza. I don't know if he has any outlet in regards to trying to, I don't know, have another hearing or debate or anything of that nature to try and get himself seated in that Black Caucus. But I'm the type of person where if I'm not welcome, then deuces. I'm not going to waste my time trying to join your faction. Why would I? If you don't want me in it, I ain't going to waste my time. So I'm sending this particular advice to Delegate Cardoza. Don't waste your time, brother. It's not worth it. It's not worth the strife, the strain, the stress, the energy. It's just not worth it. And excuse me, I need to shut off my ice maker over here and more water because it's got to do what I got to do. So hold on one second. All right, now back to the topic at hand. Delegate Cardozo from Virginia. As I just stated, it's not worth fighting to trying to get into the Black Caucus of Virginia. They don't want you. Tell them peace and hair grease. I ain't got time for you. So scooch up just a little bit here. Now, I want to talk about a situation that is going on in the military, and it has to deal with COVID. And Daniel Horowitz from The Blaze has been on top of it, like he has been on top of this whole COVID madness since day one. But the military does not want to release all of the data that has been accumulated in regards to injuries from the result of getting the COVID jab. Now, Daniel Horowitz has done a great job. Just go to The Blaze, look up Daniel Horowitz. The article is there. But he goes into depth of how the military is doing anything and everything to hide these facts, that these injuries from these COVID jabs are happening at a high rate, a high clip. And the fact that the military is dismissing individuals who don't want to get the jab, that's number one. And now we have this data that's out there, but they are doing everything within their power to squash it, for it to not to be released to the public. Injuries from these COVID jabs. And it is just utterly just mind-boggling. And then now I'm going to pivot to the situation at the Beijing Winter Olympics. I posted a video of a woman, I do not know what country she's from, but she has been in quarantine for 7 days, and she's going to be in quarantine for another 7 days, completely isolated. She can't stay in the Olympic Village, and I believe she has to take 2 PCR tests a day until these 14 days are up, and she has to have a negative result. Now, I'm thinking to myself, she's isolated, and the poor lady at the end just starts crying because of the isolation, and she's just asking for prayer. So I'm asking you to pray for this young woman, because who knows what's going on in these isolation areas in China as far as the Beijing Winter Olympic athletes and their COVID protocols. It's a bit scary just by how she was talking, how she was just trying to be very delicate as to what she was trying to say. She didn't want to say too much, but she wanted to get her story out there. But what do you expect? It's China, ladies and gentlemen. China. What do you expect? What did you expect? You thought it was going to be some kumbaya moments, and the Chinese was going to welcome all these people in, and there's also rumblings and rumors of the food being absolutely horrendous, and these athletes are losing weight and losing their drive to compete. China, ladies and gentlemen, China. I know they were awarded these games years back, but with everything that has happened, and with Wuhan being the origin of COVID, these games should have been taken away from them. But with so many people in the back pocket of China, and that includes all the way to Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., the current person who is holding the title of the President of the United States of America and his entire family is in the back pocket of China. What did you expect? What did you expect from a country whose human rights abuses, sins, if you want to call them, are utterly atrocious, should be condemned to the highest degree but somehow, some way, we awarded these people over in China the Winter Olympics. It's just mind-boggling, ladies and gentlemen. I honestly just don't understand how this was allowed. But you think about it and you realize the pull that China has, and you can talk in regards to this pull for many different aspects. If you didn't know, America owes China trillions of dollars, and the Piper is going to start playing that flute someday. And with this whole situation with Russia and Ukraine, the Chinese are looking at that so closely to see what Russia's going to do and America and NATO's reaction to it. Because if Russia invades the Ukraine, we all know that China will invade Taiwan. And who knows what's going to happen at that juncture. I'm hoping and praying that Russia does not invade Ukraine, which would ultimately trigger China to invade Taiwan. We don't want that, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's, as many of us say, world away. But ultimately, these actions by Russia and China is going to come back and bite America in its ass. And we don't want that. We don't need that. America is so divided right now that we don't need that type of interjection from these two adversaries. Now, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to pray on this. Been praying on it, and hopefully peaceful resolutions will come to the forefront and take over. But it's just a wait and see game at this point. It truly is. Now, I want to pivot to a topic that I really don't want to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it. And it has to deal with Jeff Zucker and the whole situation of him resigning at CNN. And there's so much more that's coming out right now. It's ridiculous. There's so much in regards to the tentacles being just smacked on. You know, the tentacles of an octopus, when it slaps on it and it just squeezes it and suctions it. This is what's happening in this situation in regard. There's so many facets. It's unbelievable. Because if you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, when Jeff Zucker and this woman having this affair, and we know now it's been a consensual affair, but who knows? Do we know for certain that it's this entire time it's been consensual? That they didn't have a little something going on behind the scenes when these two were married? There's no evidence of any type of craziness in regards to that, but who knows? We don't know. We all know what's been said on the record as far as those two, but we also have evidence from many different outlets, not just outlets trying to get after Jeff Zucker and CNN and blah, 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 blah. No, these are some straight up and down, straight down the line investigative reporters doing their job, finding out what's going on, what happened, when it happened, how it eventually affected possibly this takeover from the new people in charge over at CNN. I'm wondering if they knew of all of the goings on with Jeff Zucker when talks were being, talked about in regards to taking over the ownership of CNN. Just you got to think about it. So many things could have gone wrong, or so many things could not have eventually happened if one said relationship was disclosed or not disclosed. And I would beg of thee to go to the Megyn Kelly show on YouTube, and she's had a couple of episodes of some really good investigative work in regards to what's going on with Jeff Zucker and CNN and his resignation, just go check it out. It's really, really good stuff. Megyn Kelly's just been killing it lately, and I've been a big fan. I've been a big fan ever since she was on Fox, and even with that dust up with Donald Trump, things happen, and we all have done things and said things, put ourselves in situations that we wished we didn't. We're all imperfect beings, ladies and gentlemen. We can't just let one particular incident or occurrence define someone's life and someone's future. And I'm sorry, I am a Megyn Kelly fan. And I think she's bomb. I think she just does great work. Now, I'm going to play this next clip, and this is basically comic relief for today. But this is former Vice President Joe Biden being sleepy Joe Biden.
Let me be clear. If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now.
I'm so damn confused.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to play that one more time so you can get the full, just downright craziness from former Vice President Joe Biden.
Let me be clear. If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now.
I'm so damn confused.
And I am confused as well, Steve Harvey. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to end this episode here this evening, February 7, 2022. This has been the Dan Adams Show. With yours truly, Dan Adams, a.k.a. the Soulful Conservative, the DA, and the prosecutor. For those who have hit that play button on Facebook Live, I appreciate it. And as I said, so much more to come. But as today ends, no matter where you're at, I'm on the East Coast, it's about 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just take a minute to just go up to a family member in your house and just tell them that you love them. Tomorrow's not promised. And as I always end this particular show, may God continue to bless you and yours. May He keep you and your family safe from any harm or danger. So until next time, God bless you and yours. Peace and blessings.